Greetings Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
He says he's going to give it 5 days. He says Iran wants to make a deal very badly. Iran says it's fake. Somebody's lying. We'll get into it a little bit tonight, and we have other stuff too. We have the Air Canada crash at LaGuardia Airport, and we have more infighting inside MAGA. Allegations of pedophilia. It's not pretty. We'll have more. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
We are back. Let's start with the plane crash. LaGuardia Airport overnight. I did post some of this through the night as soon as we became aware of it on our X account. 2 people dead, pilot and co-pilot. At least a dozen people injured. And we have new videos showing the flight crashing into this fire truck, rescue truck at the airport in New York. I'll share it with you now. We also have the latest information from officials who have released names. But first, this. And yes, horrific images. One of the flight attendants apparently ejected from the aircraft, survived. Survivors taken to hospital. Investigation still underway, obviously. And we will bring you now this from U.S. officials who hours ago, did begin releasing more information, including some names. As Canadian officials also look for answers.
As the Secretary said, at approximately 11:40 last night, Air Canada Flight 8646, operated by Jazz Aviation, collided with a Port Authority aircraft rescue and firefighter vehicle on runway 4. The ARP vehicle carried Sergeant Orselio and Officer Baez. Both were taken to New York Presbyterian Hospital. We expect one to be released later this afternoon and the other to be kept overnight for observation. And in accordance with our emergency plan, our mutual aid partners, the Fire Department of New York and the New York Police Department, immediately responded. They transferred over 43 people to the hospital during the evening, though many have been released at this time. At approximately 5:30 this morning, the airport reopened for passengers, and our first flight, a Delta flight, left about a minute after 2 this afternoon. Again, I want to share my deepest sympathies with the families. This could have been an even broader tragedy if everyone had not responded as quickly and effectively as they did.
We also have Canada's Minister of Transportation, Steve McKinnon, who during question period did address this, but then also came out and answered questions with this media scrum. Here we go. Parliament Hill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. You have seen I answered a question in the House. Just to reiterate that we are obviously extremely shocked and saddened by the incident that occurred at LaGuardia Airport late last night or early this morning. And I want to send my condolences, those of Transport Canada and certainly those of all of the Government of Canada, to the families of the victims, to the families of those who were injured, to obviously those themselves who were injured, and the many, many people who must have been very concerned by these incidents. We have a team that is on site. If they're not physically on site, they're certainly heading there, which includes transportation safety officials as well as a Transport Canada advisor. I've spoken to the head of the Airline Pilots Association for Canada, the CEOs of Air Canada and Jazz, and we've offered all of our cooperation to them and obviously our sympathies to their employees as well. So many people work in the transportation sector in Canada. Some of these jobs involve taking risks, and I think it's important that we continue to underline how much Canadians support and appreciate the people who do that incredible work for Canada. I've spoken finally to my American counterpart, Secretary Duffy, who has pledged cooperation of the government. Unfortunately, there have been incidents, as we both observed on the phone call, including the Delta incident in Toronto, which has caused our respective transportation safety personnel to work together. So it's an unfortunately well-worn path, but we did want to stress in both of our cases how significant and important the cooperation has been between the transportation safety officials and the FAA and Transport Canada. So thank you very much. Donc en français.
Okay. So the chatter from the control tower, air traffic control, recorded, released, social media. This is what that sounded like as lawyers already begin to circle and look for liability, no doubt, looking to pursue litigation. Oh, one moment. One moment. We need a few seconds here. Coming back up. And almost there. Here we go.
Vehicle needs to cross the runway.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 1 and Company.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, 4 at Delta.
Frontier 4195, just stop there, please. Stop. Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop.
And then we know what happened. The flight attendant, who was ejected, apparently found alive, strapped to her seat. The seat apparently fell through the floor of the aircraft after the impact. So the investigation continuing, more information to be released. We'll be right back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV,
the entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity. The Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day.
Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
This whole thing in Iran, taking Some strange twists and turns. And it's hard to know what is real because you don't know who's telling the truth and who's lying. Well, might not be too hard to figure things out. Trump tonight saying that his plan to start bombing energy infrastructure in Iran, like mass bombings, delayed for 5 days because the Iranians really want to make a deal really badly. That's what he says. But Iran says otherwise. They're saying not true, fake news. Here's what Trump had to say about it today. If we can get it up on the screen, here we go.
We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict, and I think it'll end it very, very substantially. We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were surprisingly hit, and I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else. But we have, they're very much in mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Trump said if a deal is reached with Iran, the U.S. will move to take Iran's enriched uranium critical to its disputed nuclear program. According to state media, Iran's foreign ministry denied that any negotiations with the U.S. have taken place and called on Washington to de-escalate tensions.
Yeah, they're saying, Iran responding, saying, not true, have not been talking at all. Trump saying that he has not been speaking to the supreme leader. They haven't heard from him. All of this, of course, leading to accusations of directed at Trump saying he's the one lying. Here's, well, one of the biggest critics.
We're about to absolutely crash. Donald Trump, in order to manipulate the markets, just came out with a massive lie and claimed that he is in the process of negotiating a deal that could potentially resolve the war with Iran. Donald Trump refuses to say who he's having these discussions with, how they are taking place, what the general framework is, if there are anyone mediating these conversations. Iran instantly has denied that these communications are taking place. They say there's no direct or indirect communications with Donald Trump, but based on Donald Trump's fabrications, the markets which were set to crash have actually stabilized, at least for the time being today, although as more information trickles in that Donald Trump is lying, and Donald Trump just gave a disastrous press conference on the tarmac as he leaves Florida to head back to Washington, D.C.
And you just heard some of that. Could the stock market have anything to do with what Donald Trump decided to say, what he posted on social media? We'll go to the Truth Social scroll and show you exactly what he posted. It was seen there on the on that live stream. And here it is straight from the president's Truth Social page. He said, I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week. I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So, he also posted, we've got this. Okay, so here he is talking about, again, these negotiations that apparently are taking place. But yeah, not exactly sure who it is he's talking to. Why they would even speak to Trump at this point to negotiate anything. I'm not sure why they would do it, because the last time they were involved in negotiations, everything was supposed to be going really well, and then out of the blue, in a surprise attack, he bombed them. So why you see, that doesn't really build much trust with the other side, right? So why would they even bother to go back and negotiate with you when, while you're in the middle of negotiations, you bomb the crap out of them?
So we're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody, as good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place, which if we don't have to do that, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing. And so we're giving it.
Okay. He comes out with the strangest words. All of this giving ammunition to his critics. New York Times reporting that, well, here, I'll show you. That New York Times posted an article that RT is using. Right here. Look at the headline over on RT. It goes back to the New York Times. Trump bet on Israeli coup scheme in Iran. And New York Times. The plan failed as Tehran has continued to fight despite the deaths of many of its top officials and officers. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, it says here, convinced U.S. President Donald Trump to mount a joint attack on Iran by promising a quick coup in the country. The New York Times reported on Sunday, citing anonymous sources. In the conflict's preparatory stages, Mossad head David Barnea proposed that the Israeli spy agency could foment a rebellion in Iran and to topple its government within days of the start of the attack. The Times wrote the top spy presented this plan to Netanyahu, as well as to senior U.S. officials in January, the newspaper reported. Despite doubts about the plan's viability among senior officials in Washington and Israel's Amman military intelligence agency, Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister embraced an optimistic outlook aiming to encourage regime change by killing Iran's leadership, it said. The CIA had assessed that the full collapse of the Iranian government was a relatively unlikely outcome. It had warned that in the most likely scenario, hardline officials in Tehran would retain power. The newspaper said, citing U.S. officials briefed on the agency's assessments. The U.S. president has repeatedly called on Iranians to overthrow their government since Washington and West Jerusalem began their attack in late February. Despite the killings of a number of top-ranking Iranian officials and commanders, including Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, the government did not collapse, and Tehran has continued systematically retaliating against U.S. and Israeli assets in the Middle East. According to the Times, Netanyahu has privately, quote, expressed frustration that Mossad has failed to follow through on its regime change plans and expressed concern that Trump could, quote, end the war any day. Iran has long accused the Israeli Foreign Intelligence Agency of interfering in its internal affairs. Mossad operatives were involved in deadly riots which gripped Iran in the winter of 2025, firing on protesters, civilians, and security personnel, according to Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. They escalated the violent unrest to give Washington an excuse, quote, an excuse for military intervention, he said in January. Russia has condemned the U.S. and Israeli attack on the Islamic Republic and urged Washington to seek a diplomatic settlement. I think it's pretty clear that Trump was lying about the girls' school, regrettably. doesn't look good on the United States. Why? The reason I say that is because you have U.S. officials within his own administration releasing information contradicting what the president is saying. It doesn't build a lot of trust. Now this, it could be for a lot of reasons, including potentially market manipulation. Stock market was under pressure. Trump releases this, market goes up 1,000 points today because there is a serious, serious problem here. The economy is all Western economies, the world economy, really in peril because of what's going on over there. You have this major disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, oil supply disrupted. You're seeing big companies, even in the United States now, expressing concerns, issuing statements and advisories to companies within their supply chains saying that there could be, a serious problem with if this oil disruption continues. Even airlines saying they could, potentially have fuel issues within a month. So this is a crisis for the United States. This is not going well. So far, it's been sort of okay, and you could sit here and say, well, this is just fear-mongering or exaggeration, but this amount of oil being disrupted, world trade, it isn't just the oil. It starts to, the linkages here begin to connect over time, and the dominoes start to fall, and it starts to have an impact on every aspect of the economy because energy drives everything, and oil is the most important fuel in the energy equation globally. This is really, 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 really disruptive. Don't know where it's going to go. This is not quite like what we went through in the 70s with Carter. This would be a lot worse. This could end up being a lot worse. There was gas rationing in North America in the 70s with Jimmy Carter. The Iran hostage crisis. But it wasn't just related to that. It was about the oil shock and OPEC at the time. This is going to have, if this is not resolved quickly, we're in for a heap of economic hurt. That's all I can say. We'll leave it there for now. More to come. Don't go away.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Just think about it. Trump says Iran wants to make a deal very, very badly. And it could be a great deal. And there's maybe. But if Iran really wants to make, if what he says is true, would Iran then come out tonight and say, we haven't been talking to anybody? Why would they do that? Would just piss him off, right? if it were true, if what Donald Trump is saying is true, why would Iran come out and say, what's he talking about? He's not talking to us. Then they say, no, he's just stalling for time. I think that might be more accurate, because what did he issued this 48-hour deadline. I don't think he wants to do it. I think that he was hoping that that threat again, the rhetoric, would be enough to bring Iran to the table and get them to capitulate. That's what he's looking for. He thinks he can just get them to, bend the knee, give in, give him what he wants. Why aren't you giving up? Because they are dug in, they are committed, they are a theocracy, they are highly motivated, and you've pissed them off, and you've engaged in negotiations, and then in the middle of that, you've just blindsided them, you sucker punched them, and you bombed them. So now there's no trust. You've undermined all trust. Why would they trust you now to come back to the table? At some point, I suppose they'll have to. Everything ends in negotiation when it comes to a war in the end, unless there's complete devastation and on one side and the other side just rolls over the other side. He's lying, I think. That's my assessment. That's my opinion based on everything I'm seeing here tonight. It's ridiculous. It's dangerous. It's this whole thing. Poorly planned. They just thought they were going to, I think the plan was basically just bomb them. I think there's a possibility that he'll just pull out, declare victory, and just essentially walk away, figuratively speaking, because he needs to find a way out of this. But this is, it just stinks. And it stinks so badly that it's just obvious that there's just a stench all over this. Van Hollen, Trump is lying about talks with Iranians. Senator Chris Van Hollen said Monday that President Trump is lying about holding talks with Iranian officials. We know he's lying when he says that the Iranians are talking with us and they're about to give Donald Trump everything he wants. Yes, that's a lie, Van Hollen told host Cassie Hunt on CNN's The Arena. Earlier Monday, Trump said U.S. strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure would halt for 5 days after very good and productive conversations regarding an end to the conflict with Iran. You see, Trump has everything to gain by making up this story. He buys himself some time after issuing the 48-hour deadline, which now has passed. So now he doesn't have to follow through with the bombing. It looks like he's on the side of peace. I just want to negotiate. We want to talk. And then when these negotiations don't produce fruit, then he can turn around and say, well, they broke off the negotiations. We were acting in good faith. We were negotiating, and there are no negotiations going on. It's all fake. But he fabricates it, potentially. I hope I'm wrong. But it doesn't smell like it. Meanwhile, he's putting American lives at risk. He's playing games with U.S. service personnel. You already have casualties. You have bodies coming home. And for what? For what? To obliterate the nuclear program that he said he obliterated before, so he can obliterate it again. If that's what it is, there's something is off here. Whatever it is, it has not been thoroughly war gamed out. And on the other side, the Iranians have been planning for this for a long, long time, because they have that singular threat, really, well, dual threat, Israel and the United States. So they've been planning for this. They've war gamed it out. They've strategized this. And I can't believe that it has deteriorated to this. It's clearly not going well. If it was going well, we wouldn't have this energy crisis, this energy shock that is not really fully being felt yet. Oh, you give it a little more time, and we'll all find out. Not just at the gas pumps, but at the grocery store, in everything that we buy, everything that we consume. It's going to affect everything. Inflation, baby. It's a-coming. It's a-gonna come in a big, big way. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? What else do we have tonight? Just hold on to your wallets. I hope this thing is resolved soon. Best thing to do is just get this thing over with. That's why I can't believe, I'm still talking about it. He lifts the sanctions on Iranian oil while they're at war trying to get Iranian government to capitulate, so that funds the war that they're trying to. It doesn't even make any sense. Now, I know that you want more oil on the market, but he's more concerned about the stock market and commodities prices than he is about ending the war. He's flying by the seat of his pants, making it up as he goes along, because he didn't really have a well-thought-out plan to begin with. Plan A didn't work. On to Plan B. And there ain't no Plan B. Plan B is, holy crap, what are we going to do now? Somebody's punching us in the face. That's it. That is it. And, you know, it's really turning out to be something of a Vietnam-style strategy. It's just like, how many can we kill today? How many targets can we hit? That's really what it comes down to. I think CENTCOM said today it's hit more than 9,000 Iranian targets, about 140 Iranian naval vessels. They've flown more than 9,000 flights since the war began. Okay, those are, I guess, impressive metrics, but at the end of the day, what has it achieved? You haven't broken the will of the Iranian regime, so it hasn't achieved what you set out to achieve. And you don't fight a superpower by going toe to toe. You have to have a smart strategy and fight in different ways, and that's what Iran has been doing. They've been fighting an economic war, a resource war, a war of strategy and resilience. Strait of Hormuz. We'll see. We'll see. Trump is in trouble. I think UK, maybe, you know, we're all there. Push comes to shove. The allied countries are going to be there for the United States always, and, you know, one way or another. But, there's a ship now, I believe, from the UK entering the Mediterranean tonight, I think is where it was going, to defend UK bases there, or a base. I'm not sure exactly where, I can't remember exactly where it is, but heading over there to, and it has arrived to defend against any further Iranian drone attacks. So it's all happening in the background. It's just that Trump has just done this in the dumbest of ways. Yeah, it is America alone because of the way he did it. Anyway, on to the next thing here. What else do we have? Yeah, it cracks in MAGA. I don't know if you've seen any of this. Here, here's a little bit of video actually from, no, that's old. Okay, just leave it alone. Move on, Rick. Let's do that, shall we? Okay. Oh, yeah, Trump also blaming Ukraine for the U.S. problems. I'd forgotten about that. I just saw a note here that I made about that. That's why they're asking, apparently, for the $200 billion. Oh, because the U.S. stockpiles are depleted because of Ukraine. Of course, blame it all on Zelensky, the crap that's going on with Iran right now. It's Iran that's actually Ukraine that has come out to offer assistance to the United States now with their drone technology and drone expertise. And it's the Ukrainian intelligence that has revealed that the Russians are providing the intelligence to target U.S. troops, which Trump has kind of brushed off. I kind of wonder sometimes, a lot of the time anymore, what Trump is really doing. Is he telling the truth? I just thought about this. How can you tell when someone's lying?
If you want to learn if somebody in your life is lying to you, study their patterns and see when they tell a story and they're clearly telling the truth, how do they tell it? What's their cadence? How many details do they add? Where do they pause? There's just 3 really easy measures. When somebody starts lying, most people change almost every single one of those measures. They talk quicker. They add extraneous details they don't need. Some people do the opposite. You can tell with your kids so easily if they're lying once you know your kids well. You can do this with other people as well, but meeting somebody for 10 seconds and knowing if they're lying, that's very hard. I don't even know that.
And people who do it a lot, like the, pathological liars, they're very good at it. So it is hard to tell until it just becomes blatantly obvious. Assess for yourselves. It's nasty. And as I said, cracks in the MAGA base. Dan Bongino, I have to say, I always thought Dan Bongino was one of the better people on the Trump side. Seemed like a guy with some integrity, but then he went and answered the call to duty, becoming deputy FBI director. Fair enough. I don't know. Things weren't going well over there for him, though. I could tell with Kash Patel in charge. If anything, it should have been the other way around, with Bongino being the FBI director and Kash Patel probably not being there at all. At least Dan Bongino he was a Secret Service agent, I believe, right? So he had at least some experience, background, expertise in the area. He would have been the more logical choice. But no, they put Kash Patel in there. And Bongino, I could tell he was not comfortable. And then the whole Epstein thing, and he was at this event this past week where he was confronted, along with other people in the MAGA camp, by people that I would say are within the MAGA camp. They're fighting with each other, portrayed now by the people closest to Trump as being people who are not pro-Trump or pro-MAGA, but these are MAGA people. In fact, specifically, this event where Bongino was heckled this past week involved Ivan Raiklin, who is a MAGA operative, is the way I think he's described even on Wikipedia, if I'm not mistaken. And he brought a group of people to this event where Bongino comes down the stairs. And he's not the only one. Other people there too, heckled by Raiklin's group, accusing them of, well, a number of things, including, well, I'll let the video speak for itself. There's Raiklin.
You're a pedophile protector. A pedophile protector. pedophile protector. I was a cop for 9 years. You're a pedophile protector, faggot. You're a pedophile protector. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Don't swear.
This is all about the Epstein files, I think, and well, you know, we had Miko on the other night. It's been almost a week now, I think, talking about the Church of Christ, I believe it is. Yeah, and whether they've allowed convicted pedophiles into their church and the politics surrounding all of that. This is not good for MAGA. Don't shoot the messenger if this upsets you. I'm just bringing you the information. And this is within, like, which side of MAGA are you going to go with now? You're going to go with Raiklan and those other people who are yelling at Bongino, and I feel like they're afraid of Bongino now because he knows everything, you see. He was in the FBI. He's had access to all of the confidential files, did not deliver the goods to MAGA on the Epstein case. He just came out and said Epstein killed himself after on his program for a long time saying that was that was a scam, that was a hoax, not true, contradicting himself. Which is it? I don't know. Here's Bongino reacting this week. Actually, I think within the last 24 hours to all of this. He's kind of upset.
And all of a sudden, these guys show up at a MAGA event calling people, you get the point, said it enough. Screaming like lunatics in the lobby, crying like little girls afterwards when they got tossed out. Here's a tweet by Joe Kent supporting Igor. Back is Igor's buddy.
Raiklan.
Elon Musk, can you please reinstate Igor so you can continue to provide constitutional and legal analysis? Really? Showing up at a MAGA event with his boys, one of them screaming, calling people faggots? That your boy, Joe? It's kind of weird how I called you out for lying. You're a liar. You are. And all of a sudden, I could prove you're a liar. I was there. I looked you in the face. You're a liar. And all of a sudden, weird, Igor shows up in his sombrero with Ogre and Little Guy. And Little Guy seemed awfully agitated. Think he had a little IBS. Maybe he ate a little something. Who knows? A sombrero. Maybe he had some Mexican that didn't agree with him. A little too many spices there, Little Guy?
Nice hat.
Seemed really upset. Weird you run around calling people. It's strange.
What's with the sombreros? I don't know.
Here's Igor's buddy, Mike Flynn Jr. He was really, I guess he was upset. Badge of fucking honor, Mike Flynn Jr. That's his boy. Did you guys know that? Igor used to show up at CPAC in like a little dog, like a dog. Although with that Igor face, I'm not sure a dog would want a face like that. My dog Lucy's a little cuter. However, Igor used to show up at CPAC with his homie there, Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn, Dan, didn't you defend his dad? Yeah, I did for a long time. His dad went through his unforgivable. And yet his son is part of some op after you served and they sat on the sideline. His son, who's done absolutely nothing but grift off daddy's name. The only thing his son brings to the table is the junior portion. That's your boy. You prove of that? Showing up at a MAGA event? I thought you guys were Trump people.
They have been Trump
That's his
people.
buddy right there. He used to show up at CPAC. As a matter of fact, one of them took a selfie with him. Can I come on your show? Igor, can I come on your show? Please? Like a dog, begging like a dog, little Igor with his sombrero. He didn't bring his stormtroopers with him, though, back then, because he used to walk around CPAC like a little dog, asking everyone to come on the show. You remember that, Igor? Can I come on your show? By the way, Igor, you don't have as many friends as you think you have. I'll leave it at that.
And I can't tell you, I don't have the depth of contacts to to tell you what's really going on. All I see is the fighting. Like I said, it's not pretty. It's pretty ugly, actually. It's pretty darn ugly. Somebody binging me here about this, I think. What's that say? Somebody's not a Bongino fan. I don't know. It just make all I can say is nice sombreros.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
You know, we've been talking a little bit about fake relationships, artificial intelligence. Makes me think of the movies like Blade Runner. You know, synthetic androids that are so lifelike you can't tell whether the android is a real human being or not. Harrison Ford's character in Blade Runner, and the relationship with the android, but maybe he's an android himself. Maybe androids falling in love with each other. Interesting questions that all raises. What's real, what isn't? Where are we going in the future with relationships? And then when I was thinking about all of this today, there's a news story related to this, by the way. I was wondering, like that Sophie Rain in that news story about the 50% proposed tax on OnlyFans creators in Florida is what popped up in my feed that night. In that story, she said she had made about $100 million with her OnlyFans account. And then I was thinking, well, how much does the guy who started OnlyFans or owns it? I'm going to look it up here. How much is he worth? Tim Stokely is the founder. Stepped down in December 2021. Reports from that period estimate his net worth at approximately $120 million, largely from his involvement with OnlyFans. Started with a £10,000 loan. Now, the current owner, Leonid Radvinsky, a Ukrainian-American entrepreneur, he has received over $1.8 billion in pre-tax dividends since 2021. Wow! Notable recent payouts include a record $701 million in dividends, including $497 million in the fiscal year, and additional amounts shortly after that. So he has a net worth reaching around $7.8 billion. That still, I've been off screen. Something happened. I apologize. I'm back. I am back. One moment. Somebody just telling me that we got kicked off the screen, but I'm back. So I'm just, where did I leave off? Bongino. We've been on the Bongino train, right? But I pivoted over to this OnlyFans stuff. The last few nights I've been talking a little bit about OnlyFans because of the news story about the proposed 50% tax on all OnlyFans income in the state of Florida, which put the story in front of me on social media involving one of the top, I guess, creators over on OnlyFans. Somebody uses the name Sophie Rain, who said in that story, which blew me away, that she has made $100 million from her OnlyFans account. That blows my mind. I didn't believe it at first, but then there seems to be verification of it out there, so I guess she really has been making that kind of money. Then I was thinking, well, how much does do the guys who created and operate and control and own OnlyFans make? So I've been looking it up, and apparently the creator and founder, Tim Stokely, who launched OnlyFans back in 2016, his estimated net worth, approximately $120 million. Most of it derived from his involvement with OnlyFans, started with a £10,000 loan. But the current owner, as of the most recent data available, is Leonid Radvinsky. And since taking over the company in 2018, buying out the Stokely family interests, he has received over $1.8 billion in pre-tax dividends just since 2021, and has built, as a result of all of that, through investments and everything else he's been doing, he now has a net worth reaching somewhere around $7.8 billion. That according to Forbes, which reported that late last year. OnlyFans operates on a 20% cut of creator earnings. Creators keep 80%. OnlyFans gets 20%. And it's hard for me to fathom that kind of money flowing through that platform. But there it is. Thing is, tonight, they say you can't take it with you. And indeed, that is the case, as Leonid Radvinsky has passed away. "43 years old. Some say he revolutionized the online porn industry. Depends on how you look at it, I suppose. A lot of people very opposed to it, as we've seen with this proposed tax in Florida. Sophie Rain and that whatever her real name is, I don't know, in that news story that we ran the other night saying OnlyFans transformed her life, and $100 million? Yeah, that's financial security in our society for sure. But at what cost? Has it been worth it? Social media. Evolution of media, the next medium. But Leonid Radvinsky, at 43 years old, with all of that money, didn't have his health. Had been battling cancer. It's interesting, too, the OnlyFans site, I guess it really began to surge in popularity during the lockdowns, during the COVID-19 pandemic. And there was Leonid Radvinsky on the Forbes annual list of billionaires just 3 years later. Tonight, his family has issued a statement saying he passed away peacefully after a long battle with cancer. His family tonight asking for privacy. I don't know if it's the best of times, but it certainly seems to feel like the worst of times. And with that in mind, the other night, I started, digging into the past a little bit, and I had remembered a long time ago learning about this artist, Billy Murray. This is was a big recording artist back around the time of World War I. And so I went looking for a song, and I found it. I'm going to share it with you tonight. The Worst of Times. This song was actually released just after World War I, when you would think that the theme of the music would be upbeat, optimistic. But it was really, at the time, a way for Billy Murray, who was known back around 1918 as the Denver Nightingale. He was kind of giving the middle finger to the Germans right after the war, because the war had just ended. And this song, it's gleefully mocking the defeated Germans, especially the Kaiser, his son, the Crown Prince, and military leaders like Hindenburg. And the lyrics in this song taunt them. And even though the war is ending, there are real troubles: humiliation, exile, loss of power, justice. It's coming, and this is just the beginning. That's the message here in this song from Billy Murray. But today, all these years later, as some people reflect back on this, including myself, it feels ominous. Because this was right after World War I, and when he's singing in this song, "The worst is yet to come," it's almost like it is it's foreshadowing what is going to come in World War II, which isn't far down the road. And it's what we ended up with as a result of the result of World War I was dealt with. Germany held to account, Germany forced to pay reparations, the economy suffered, the depression, the rise of the Nazis as a result of that economic strain, the suffering, the depression. Worldwide, Germany rose up. And indeed, the worst was yet to come. And today, with what we're seeing going on in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Iran, in Mexico, Venezuela, the way Trump is stirring everything up, the way that we now have this energy crisis that it's like we're in this tunnel. It's dark and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, it might be a train coming our way, and I'm not sure we're going to have anywhere to run. I don't mean to be a super negative guy as we go out, but it's not looking good. That being said, this is it's supposed to be a fun song at the time, but it has it's a double-edged sword. Leave you with it tonight. Be back here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side, I'll try to bring something a little more uplifting on the morrow. See you then.
In childhood days we sing and play a game we love so well. I-O, the cherry-o, the farmer in the dell. But since the war, the words of yore have changed to fit the time. The melody is the same to me, but the kids have changed the rhyme. The Kaiser's off his noodle, the Crown Prince flew the coop, and every one of his other sons right now are in the soup. But the worst is yet to come, the worst is yet to come. He won't know what it's all about or where it's coming from. He said he'd plaster Paris with his Hindenburg machine, but now it looks as if he's on the road to Paris green. But the worst is yet to come, the worst is yet to come. He tried to put the whole world on the bum. Now you crazy Kaiser, you had to give up, you had to give up, you had to give up. But don't let it worry you, the worst is yet to come. Old Kaiser Bill went up the hill, but he came tumbling down. Old Chateau Thierry, that's where he lost his crown. He thought a bit and had to quit, for everything looked black. A note he sent to the president, and he got this answer back. Oh, Willie, Willie, wild fellow, growing up so high, you better order your coffin now, because you're going to die. For the worst is yet to come, the worst is yet to come. You won't know what it's all about or where it's coming from. We were on our way to Limburg, the strongest town you own, and after we took Limburg, we were going to take Cologne. But the worst is yet to come, the worst is yet to come. You tried to put the whole world on the bum. You ran into Holland, but that's not much. For the rest of your life you'll be in Dutch, but don't let it worry you, the worst is yet to come. And when the Yankees started in to make their big attack, one big German jumped right over the other big German's back. And when they turned around, the Yankees took another crack, and the Huns went running home. They were only playing leapfrog, they were only playing leapfrog, they were only playing leapfrog. And one big German jumped right over the other big German's back. But the worst is yet to come, the worst is yet to come. The devil's going to be your only chum. Oh, hickory, dickory, dickory, dock, you had to put your throne in hock, but don't let it worry you, the worst is yet to come.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.